evening, everyone, and welcome along to V8's on live broadcast of round 10 of the Australian New Zealand Grand Am Championships at Barber Motorsport Park. Thanks to Track Racer, a functional work of art, V8's Online Superstore, Direct Clutch Services, and V8 Supercar Fan Group. I'm Matthew Hill, your host, and joining me tonight is Madison Down, five-time champion of the Monday Night V8s. Welcome, Madison.
Yeah, g'day guys. Really interested to see how this race pans out tonight. Very different to our V8 series we have on Monday nights, and Barber, a track we don't really see very often.
Yeah, so unfortunately it's a very underrated circuit. I was doing some practice laps around for tonight's broadcast yesterday, and it's lots of height changes, fast-flowing corners. It's one really crazy track. I really think the V8 should probably go there.
Yeah, it's a great circuit. So many blind corners as well, like turn one at Barber, as you'll see in the broadcast tonight, pretty much a completely blind entry. So you pretty much just got to turn in and guess where the apex of the corner is. It's a really challenging track, and I think it's going to be a real struggle for the guys tonight to find anywhere to pass. It's really tight in a lot of places as well, which will be quite interesting with the multi-class racing.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of commitment is needed with these cars through this circuit. I think a lot of the racing tonight we'll see will be very fast, very close. I mean, I watched the last qualifying session. It is very, very tight at the top. I mean, we're only talking a couple of tenths of seconds between the first 3 or 4 cars in both classes as well.
Yeah, both classes, the Riley prototype class and the McLaren GT3 class, both separated by, not a lot. So at the top of the Riley class, there's just 300 separating Christopher Osborne and Corey Hinger, so shows you how close this race is going to be.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. We went to Watkins Glen last week and it was absolute chaos all the way through the race pretty much. We had a lot of DNFs, a lot of crashes. Hoping tonight maybe the boys have learnt their lesson and keep it nice and tight, nice and close without too much contact. One thing we did see last week that I'm hoping we don't see again is not a lot of give and take from the different cars, the 2 different classes. So, and if you are new to the Grand Am, this is your first broadcast, we welcome you along. And just let you know that basically in the Grand Ams there's 2 different races in one. We'll have the McLarens fighting for their own race and the DPs, the Rileys, in their own class.
Yeah, it's a very different concept compared to the one-make series racing we do on Monday night with the V8 Supercars, where it's all in. Tonight, yeah, as you said, 2 different races happening in one, so the McLaren guys aren't racing the Riley guys, so it's really tough for the Riley guys especially to try and find a way around the McLaren drivers without getting involved in incidents. And as I made mention of earlier, this track really difficult to pass on, so I think you're going to see a lot of very frustrated Riley drivers tonight.
Yeah, I think patience is going to be key now. We'll quickly run through the grid for you guys. I'll grab the DPs if you want to do the McLarens, Madison, for us.
Yeah, no worries.
In pole position, we've got Christopher Osborne, closely followed by Corey Hanger, John Emerson in 3rd place, Matthew Barrett in 4th, Mitch Abrahull in 5th. We've got Cameron Todd in 6th, in 7th, Rob Hartley, and Fabio Gonzalez in 8th, and Leon Tander.
Yeah, in McLaren class, we've got Kimmo Suominen on pole position, Rens Brookman 2nd, Christian Aylward 3rd, Blake Coppo 4th, Mohammed S. Patel 5th, Anthony Kernich 6th, Corey Osborne 7th, Andrew Wren 8th, Warwick Chitpak in the second last position there, and Craig Hunter rounding out the field, having not done a qualifying lap.
Yeah, what we're getting to see now is a lot of these international drivers really coming into the championship at such a late stage, but it's good to see them and we really welcome them. But if we do mispronounce your last name or your first name, please message us on Facebook or Twitter at V8's Online, and make sure you just spell it out phonetically for us so we can pronounce it correct next time you choose to race with us.
Yeah, that's it. It's really tough. I'm shocking with name pronunciation, so yeah, we'll try our best, but yeah, it's going to be a struggle. As you said though, great to see so many international drivers in the field, like Kimmo Suominen from Finland there, dominating McLaren class in qualifying, half a second clear of Rens Brookman there in 2nd.
Yeah, that's quite a gap. We did see a lot of the the McLaren drivers very, very fast, and a gap like half a second is quite huge. I mean, give and take, I mean, Rens Brookman has only done about half an hour's practice before the start of this race, so hopefully he can sort of stick with Kimo and get a bit of a tow for the first few laps and get a bit of rhythm and hopefully stay with him. Now, as per last week's, if you guys watched our race, you'll notice that the live timing has actually started now. The actual time inside the race doesn't actually start until the green flag drops. We'll keep you posted with the actual race time. We are working on new overlays, new text, hopefully so that we can get that problem fixed. But we'll keep you up to date at the end of the race with how many laps to go and how much time to go. Yeah, the pace car's pulling off now, so. Guys, we really enjoyed over the last few weeks a little bit something new that we've done, and that's getting you to put your input into the Facebook and on Twitter. Send us some photos of how you're enjoying watching the race. We've seen some interesting ones so far. We've seen one guy in particular very excited to be watching the race and sitting about 3 inches from the screen. We've seen a couple of guys lying in bed. We've seen guys on massive big plasma screen TVs, and a couple of yous enjoying some cold beverages.
Yeah, I think we saw some slippers as well there for a bit of broadcast action there for Monday night. So, yeah, it's interesting seeing how all the different people tune in to watch. We like that. It gives us the motivation to keep on doing it and trying to make it as enjoyable as possible for you guys.
One thing, if you have noticed, we've got a couple of new little sponsors for Extreme Sim Gear. Has now changed its name to Dynamic Sim Sport, and tonight's the debut of their liveries. I think they look quite good, quite striking, so hopefully that makes a bit of an impact on them. A bit of a change is good.
Yeah, I saw the pictures of that in the forum from the launch at Barber today, and the cars definitely look a little bit different to what we're used to seeing from the old Extreme Sim Gear team, now Dynamic Sim Sport. Definitely great looking race cars. Hopefully a bit of speed comes with that. I know when you get a new paint scheme, it also provides a little bit extra confidence, I suppose, a bit superstitious. So yeah, those guys will be looking to capitalise on that.
You say superstitious, mate, you're talking to the king of him right here. I didn't particularly like the green too much, but Corey did make mention this afternoon that going away from the green, he's actually found a couple of tents with the red car. So, mate, I'm just going to quickly remind him of that in this broadcast so when he watches it again. Hello, Corey. All right, as the pace car pulls into the pits, going on the main straight. Wait for that green flag to drop.
And we're green.
Green flag.
Even jump by the front row. Flowing to turn 1, it's all kept clean so far.
Yeah, nice guys, a good start. Get back to the McLarens. All gone well for those guys as well, nice and clean start.
Everyone slotted in single file.
Oh, looks like Emerson had a bit of a moment.
Very close there for John Emerson into the hairpin. He overran it slightly, nearly drilled Corey. He's going to be under pressure now from Matthew Barron. Kimo Suominen already got a gap to Rens Brookman in McLaren class. Great start for him.
Yeah, really dominant start from Kimo. Let's see if Rens can sort of stick with him and get that stuck with the draft. Here we go, Christian Elwood right up Rens's exhaust pipes as well. Nice and close. Rens runs a bit wide.
Just up the front at the Riley class, Chris Osborne has also developed an early lead over Corey Hanger in second. Both these class leaders now starting to pull a gap, which is a bit comforting in the opening lap.
Oh, Squizzer looking down the inside of Emerson into turn 1. Oh, Emerson, a big slide through turn 1.
Great save. He's going to be under pressure exiting turn 2 here. Matthew Barron's got a run on him.
Oh, now that's a little scary little rise, that one. Yeah, the car gets really loose, so Barron with a lot of... Oh, he's...
Oh! He's going to go off. He's gone. Abrahal's taking advantage of that and goes up to P3.
Barron loses 4 spots from that. He'll be fuming.
Very, very lucky to avoid contact there. We're going to head to a replay of that one.
On board with Mitch, yeah, and it looks like Barron just maybe missed his braking marker, went a bit close, and I think Emerson must have seen him coming and turned it a little bit earlier, which was good driving from Emerson, and Matthew Barron was lucky to escape without contact.
Yeah, very, very lucky for those two guys. Good driving by both of them to avoid contact there. That could have been race ending for those two drivers with such aerodynamic cars. You know, slightest bit of contact and it's pretty much race over.
Yeah, that's right. These cars are carbon fibre, so they're all pretty fragile. So a little bump can sometimes you can get away with it, but most of the time it will end in result in damage or slowing your car down. Looking at Corey Hanger now is about 1.1 seconds behind.
Matthew Barron just made his way past Fabio Gonzalez there. Up to position 7 now for Matthew Barron as he tries to fight his way back through the field after that mistake. Hartley down the inside.
Cameron Todd. Oh, good driving from both the guys there, plenty of room.
Cameron Todd with a massive moment there out in the marbles exiting the hairpin. Matthew Barron's going to have a look at him.
If he's got the nerve to stick it up, no, that's good driving. Good driving from Barron.
Yeah, he can't really pass into that S-bend there. It's never really going to be on. He needs to set it up, probably into turn 1 like he did last lap to Gonzalez.
Well, that's right. We know Matthew Barron's got the pace. He's been doing a fair bit of practice today. And his qualifying time definitely says he's got pace, so he'll be off a bit of a cracker battle. Head back to the McLarens now. We've got Anthony Kernich all over the back of Osborne, Corey Osborne.
Yeah, pretty close battle this one.
Yeah, it's good to watch the McLaren guys. The car sounds sensational. Nice,
yeah, as you were about to say, Craig Hunter there started rear of the field. He's actually gained a few positions there and starting to range up onto the back of Anthony Kernich.
Yeah, Corey Osborne and Kernich are no slouches in their own right, so Hunter's really showing a turn of speed. I mean, he was, of course, last week's winner at Watkins Glen. Good to see a lot of the familiar names back this week. And back to Kimo now. Right, leading quite comfortably from Rens Bookman.
Yeah, he's got nearly a 2-second lead there over the Dynamic SimSport driver. Really starting to open up that margin.
Yeah, looks absolutely on rails, that McLaren of Kimo. Yeah, look, beautiful exit from the S's there.
Christian Aylward starting to range up onto the back there of Patel in position 3 for the McLaren class. Looks like he's got fairly good pace. We've seen Aylward pretty quick in a lot of other rounds in the Grand Am series. As we ride on board now with Christian Aylward. Very tough to get this last part of the lap right. This second last corner, very tough to make the apex there. You can turn in either too early or just miss it completely. Aylward did a pretty good job that time by. Stick for a lap now with Aylward. As he ride on board into the bind, turn 1.
Yeah, you'll really get to see the undulations of the circuit here.
Turn 2 seems like it's going to go on forever, and you've just got to get the run up the hill here, not let it step too far out over that crest. Very easy to put it into the wall there. Brake hard for that hairpin. Of course, the McLaren GT3 does have an ABS system. It may sound easy to drive with ABS, however, if you brake a little bit too hard, you can trigger it, therefore the car doesn't slow down as quickly. So into all these slow corners, the drivers have to be a little bit careful not to trigger the ABS.
Yeah, that's right. The ABS, it's a tricky thing to learn, and you really can tell the guys that have started to master it because they're at the pointy end of the field.
Aylward's gone on.
On the outside, going through the fast S's. Nice bit of driving from both the guys there, plenty of room.
He's got another run here. Can't quite do anything with that.
The door is closed firmly on Christian Elwood there.
It looks like he's got the pace over Patel though. He's definitely trying to size him up for a passing move. It's just hard to get it done, as we made mention of in the warm-up.
Well, Christian did out-qualify Patel by 2 places. So yeah, Christian may have had a couple of problems in the opening laps there, but
So head back to the Riley class. Chris Osborne continues to lead, but the gap is 1.2 seconds to Corey Hanger in second place. I think that gap actually may have closed a little bit since we last saw that. Corey Hanger and Chris Osborne separated by nothing in qualifying, and we're seeing it in the race as well. Their race pace is very similar.
yeah, that's right. The last lap by, they were only a tenth apart, tenth of a second. So we'll see what it is crossing the line this time. Almost identical lap times then.
Yeah, Osborne was
fast for the two guys.
one tenth quicker than Hanger there. Just opened the gap up ever so slightly.
Oh, looks like we've had reports that Barron's in a bit of trouble. Oh, yes. As we bring the replay up on screen now, looks like going to the last turn, yeah, the car snaps loose on him and he pancakes the wall.
You just drop the wheel off onto the grass there, very easy to do, and while it's loaded up like that, the car just drops all its grip, and unfortunately for Matthew Barron, that'll be race over. That's huge damage.
Yeah, unfortunately for Barron, that's 2 DNFs in a row now for the Grand Am Series. He'll be absolutely fuming inside that race helmet.
Yeah, we saw him have dramas there behind John Emerson earlier in the race, and he was making his way back through the field, and he's got massive rear-end damage to that car. He's pressing on, but we'll see how he goes.
And I think last week he actually put a post up on Facebook of his length of repair. It was about 17 minutes last race, so we'll see if he does the same thing this time. It was a big impact.
John Emerson starting to close up on Mitchell Abrahall here for 3rd position.
Yeah, Corey Osborne just creeping away now from Corey Hanger. Gap out to 1.4, so it's opening at about a tenth a lap. Doesn't seem like much, but I mean, once the car sort of starts to disappear into the horizon, it's find it hard. You start pushing a little bit too much, then you lose your rhythm, and then before you know it, you're dropping 3 or 4 tenths a lap, and yeah, not a good position to be in. So hopefully Corey can reel Christopher back in a little bit.
Yeah, track position is key. It's so important in races like this to not drop too much time in the early stages of the race. There's John Emerson was just watching there, had a bit of a moment into the S's.
Yeah, John's just stepped into the simulator, so just stepped in behind the wheel, so he hasn't had much practice today, so hopefully he can keep it together, keep it all open nice.
He's having a pretty good race so far. He's had a little bit of a scruffy lap this time by though behind Abrahall. Abrahall's pulled that gap out just a little bit. Bit of battle here between Patel.
Emerson around on the main straight, avoids the wall.
He's done the same thing as Matthew Barron. He's dropped the wheel off and dropped it onto the main straight. Extremely lucky not to do the same thing and hit the fence.
Oh, he got away with that one.
Wow, that's amazing. We've seen 2 drivers do that now. It shows you how easy that is to do there.
That's right, just because they got high downforce doesn't mean they're going to run out of grip.
Grass is always slippery, that's the bottom line, and we've seen that so far tonight. Christian Elwood with a big slide there at the second last corner. He's coming under big attack from Blake Coppo, but Blake Coppo runs wide onto the main straight. Luckily, he didn't spin.
Going into turn 1 now, these cars are only separated by, oh geez, it'd be a tenth, if that.
Yeah, there's nothing in it between these 2 cars at the moment. Blake Coppo now looks like he's got the pace advantage. We saw a few laps ago, Elwood was starting to put the pressure on Patel, but now he's the one under pressure. Run a little bit wide there in the mid-corner.
Ali with a bit of a shallow entry, and he really suffered through the mid-corner speed there.
That's exactly what Coppo wants to see. Aylward ran very deep into that hairpin and had a bit of a slide off the exit. This is music to Coppo's ears at the moment. He's just seeing Aylward start to push a little bit harder.
Aylward's pulled out just a little bit of a gap now.
Goes back to Fabio Gonzalez chasing down Cameron Todd in the Riley class. That one's for position 6 and position 7.
Yeah, Fabio Gonzalez with a very colourful paint scheme. Very, very bright.
They're sporting all kinds of gaming products there and gaming shows, I can see by the looks of it. It's definitely one of the more interesting liveries in the field.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that you see in the mirror and it's all colours.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how Todd's looking at that mirror now going.
As Corey Hanger passes Andrew Wren in the McLaren. We're coming into lap traffic now for the Riley class. By the way, that gap up the front is pretty much the same. Christopher Osborne leads over Corey Hanger by 1.5 seconds, so it's opened up 2/10 in about the last 3 or 4 laps. So these guys are virtually doing identical lap times.
Yeah, last time by actually, Osborne was quite a fair bit slower than Hanger then. I think he might have been held up by one of the McLarens.
Yeah, I'd say he got stuck a little bit behind Andrew Wren there on the last time by, and Corey had to encounter that. Although Corey did get that on the main straight, he did get let through, so that would have been a little bit of an advantage in his favour.
Yeah, that's right. With the multi-car classes, I mean, it's all a bit of give and take between the two different guys. I mean, you can see the speed comparison between the prototype and the McLarens is quite big, not only just in mid-corner speed, but in straight line speed. So on board now with Christopher Osborne for a lap. So turn it up, boys. We'll let you enjoy the noisy V8.
Anthony Kernich there had a little bit of a spin in front of Christopher Osborne at the second to last corner.
Yeah, very lucky to avoid the wall. That was a lap in the prototype, 15.5 minutes into the race now. And the gap from Corey Hanger to Christopher Osborne down to 0.8 of a second. As Corey goes around the outside of Craig Hunter.
Gap at the front's closed up a little bit too. Christopher Osborne's now only got an 0.8 margin, and we'll see this ebbing and flowing as these guys work through the lap traffic. Something's happened to Cameron Todd has done the same thing that Matthew Barron has done. He's dropped the wheel off on the last corner and hit the pit wall. That makes 3 Rileys now making the same mistake.
Cameron Todd. Yeah, look, the back of the car is absolutely smashed to pieces.
It's remarkable. We got Kimmo Suominen and Rens Brookman now in McLaren class. The battle is heating up for the lead there as well. Rens has closed the gap right down now. It's less than a second.
Well, we know how fast Rens is in the V8s on Monday night. He's definitely up the pointy end of the field. And he was probably the most excited person in iRacing when that McLaren was launched. He did spend a lot of time in it, and it's really showing now.
Yeah, Rens Brookman, easily one of the quickest guys in the McLaren, as you said. He's been up there since the car was released, but Kimmo Suominen, an ex-pro driver, certainly knows what he's doing, so it's not going to be an easy task for Brookman to get the job done.
Yeah, this will be a great battle. I can imagine it going all the way down the wire. Yeah, Ren's fantastic under brakes and through the SSA.
It looks like he's just got a little bit more pace in this stage of the race. I don't know whether it was starting tyre pressures or maybe he's looked after the car a little bit better than Suominen, or whether it was traffic. Of course, these guys can also get held up with Riley's through having to let them through in awkward places, so not sure what it was, but Rens has certainly closed that margin and the battle is heating up.
One thing I do like about this track is the different lines you can take into the different corners. It's such a good track to race, so smooth, so fast. Really enjoy it.
A very flowing track, and we look back in the field in the McLaren class and Blake Coppo has got around Christian Aylward and sets chase after Patel.
Yeah, Christian Aylward, he had a lot of pace early, but seems to be slipping back now, so maybe a bad setup choice or a wrong setup choice. Really sort of paying the penalty for it now, but Steve Blake with some excellent pace. Last lap for Blake, Coppo was 1:24.3, so only been a second off the leader's pace. Fantastic.
Interestingly, Christian Aylward did a 23.5 last time around, which was probably one of the quickest laps on the circuit for McLaren, so not sure whether Christian Aylward made a mistake somewhere, but his pace still seems to be okay.
Let's see if you can close back on the back of Blake Coppo. Here we go back to the leaders of the Daytona prototypes, or the Rileys. Gap down to 0.6 of a second. Guys
continuing to close.
A cracker of a battle.
We saw Christopher Osborne easing the margin out, but now it's going the other direction. Corey Hanger is starting to close that margin. It's decreasing it. Oh, massive moment for Osborne.
How did he
shot the wheel off? Hanger is all over him. This is going to be on. Hanger moves around in the mirrors. This is going to be interesting. We've got Kimmo Suominen and Rens Brookman battling for the McLaren lead ahead, as we got the Riley leaders also approaching, battling for sheep stations behind them. This is going to be very, very close at the hairpin.
Oh, it's 1 and 2 versus 1 and 2 in the different classes.
Sorry, Rens Brookman's going to lose a lot of time from that. He had to let those Rileys go in the corner, as Suominen is going to have a bit better way here.
Yeah, Suominen lets him past and Rens catches right back up to the back of Kimmo Suominen. So yeah, good driving from the two different classes, really giving each other a lot of space. So no danger there for both classes.
Yeah, it's always tricky in these multi-class races, especially when you approach slower or faster class and they're also battling. So you've got to give them space, but you know that if you open the door up a little bit too far for the faster cars, you could actually let your opponent through, which, you know, obviously isn't ideal.
No, it's not a bad place to be if you're in P2 with the battle. You can really make some ground up with these multiplayer races. Certainly on Tander now, so we're going to find out what's maybe happened to him. Hopefully we get a replay from the screen shortly.
Yeah, it looks like he's come into the lane there and just retired from the race. I'm not sure what happened there, but nonetheless Leon Tander is out of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Leon. Maybe a hardware failure, or maybe tapped the wall or something, but unfortunately he's now out of the race and out of the server. Yeah. Oh, Corey, very wide. Very lucky to hang on to that one.
Using every single bit of track, plus more there. Took a lot of the curb, but it sent him out wide on the exit. Interestingly, he hasn't lost too much time, but he won't want to do that too often. We've seen 3 guys in Riley class drop wheels off and slam the fence.
Yes. Oh, Corey White on the main straight. That could have ended in tragedy when we've already seen the 3 cars DNF from that. Well, not DNF. Yeah, we've had 3 cars spin around at that part of the track coming onto the main straight. Deadly to stick a wheel out in the grass. So Corey hanging it all out.
Driving with flamboyance at the moment is Corey Hanger. He's pushing very hard, but he's dropped about near on 2 seconds this lap alone. So shows you driving, 150% committed isn't necessarily quick. But we spoke about that last corner and how easy it is to lose it there, and Corey Hanger, one of the most experienced Riley drivers in the field, nearly did the same thing.
It just shows you how easy that is to do. I mean, unfortunately we just saw Corey Hanger then just swerving on the straight, trying to figure out maybe if there's something wrong with his car or trying to work out the tyre grip. Yeah,
we did hit the curb very hard. On the last lap, we spoke about how hard he hit that curb, and I do know the Riley can be a little bit fragile to curb hits, so if you hit a curb a little bit hard, you can bend the steering or bottom a shock out or something like that, and that affect the handling quite dramatically.
Yeah, let's see how much time he's lost across the line this time by. Geez, he lost a second that lap.
Craig Hunter has moved to 6th in class, sorry. He's working his way up through the field from the rear of the grid there. But yeah, not a great lap for Corey Hanger last time by. He lost a lot of time through those mistakes. Let's go back to the battle for the lead in McLaren. Kimmo Suominen leads Rens Brookman within 2-3 tenths of his rear wing. He's still all over him, applying the pressure, just can't find a way past.
That's right, guys. We're about 24 minutes into this race, and the leaders of the McLarens are all over each other. John Emerson just splits the tube, going into the hairpin. Yeah, Rens manages to pull back on Kimmo Suominen through the S's.
Good driving there from all parties. They all gave each other space. The gap didn't change too much between Suominen and Brookman there. Oh, that was very close with Rob Hartley. This is going to be awkward in the S's. Hartley has to go the long way. Rens Brookman lost a lot of time in that exchange.
Yeah, you can see the gap, how much he did lose then.
It's going to be a big disadvantage as well because Rob Hartley is going to get Kimmo Suominen before turn 1, meaning Suominen won't lose very much time. So Brookman's going to have to close that gap all over again. That'll be frustrating.
Well, I mean, we're about 24 and a half minutes into the race now, so he's still got about the same time, so we're about halfway. So he's still got plenty of time to catch back up on Kimmo Suominen. I mean, we did see him do that from the start, so. Mitch Abril in 3rd place. Been Mr. Consistency so far on the broadcast. We've seen him do extremely well in all the broadcasts that we've put out, so big hello to Mitch.
He's actually doing pretty competitive lap times as well. He's doing the same lap times that Chris Osborne and Corey Hanger are doing up the road. However, he's not actually closing that margin. He's just maintaining it, which would be a little bit frustrating for him sitting around about 10 seconds off the lead. However, as you said, Mitch Abraham, Mr. Consistency, he's been doing very well, not only in Grand Am and the V8 Supercar Series, but also Race to Reality. We saw him pick up a win a few weeks ago in that, so he's certainly got the speed.
Oh, you're going to rhyme me that one, are you, Madison?
I think I might, yeah.
Mitch, very good steerer. Very good steerer, mate. He showed me how to drive those little Race to Reality cars, the Legends. We'll go back and have a look now. The battle for 3rd place. Mohammed Patel doing a great job. Actually gapped Coppo.
Yeah, we saw him coming under pressure a little bit earlier from Aylward, but he overcame that and started to pull the margin out, and now he's sitting comfortably in third position, lapping fairly consistently, although Suminen and Brookman have both checked out, so at the moment it looks like third's the place to be.
Just having a look at the other lap times between the two leaders of the McLaren class. Last time by, Brookman was about 8/10 of a lap faster. Huge gap pulled in. Renz drops a lot of time.
Yeah, Renz Brookman, the gap now is out to about 3 seconds in the McLaren class, and that's come through awkward lapped car exchanges. Again, Fabio Gonzalez caught Renz in an awkward position, and Renz lost a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm just watching him now. He doesn't seem to be too happy with that. As Fabio Gonzalez is all over the back now of Kimmo Suvanen. Yeah, it's not the easiest tracks to make an overtaking move on the slower class McLarens. Unfortunately for Renz Brookman then, I don't think Kimmo Suvanen really slowed him down too much, so the gap still maintained around that 2.5 to 3 seconds.
Yeah, Renz is pushing, and he's certainly got the speed to close that margin. It's just really frustrating that he has to use more of that tyre set to get the gap down again to where it was before. It's multi-class racing is so different to the single-make racing that we're used to.
Yeah, it really throws a spanner in the works if you're running in the Rileys and you come across the McLarens in their own battle. I mean, they have every right to be in their own battle. They shouldn't just move over and pull over. It's needs to be fair and just. I mean, that's where a lot of etiquette comes into it. A lot of give and take from the two classes is required for a nice smooth race.
Massive slide for Rob Hartley there on turn 2 as he runs in 5th place in the Riley prototype class. Rob Hartley looks like he's got a little bit of front end damage to the front of his car. It's a little bit bent. I'm not sure it'll be affecting him too much, but any damage on these prototypes is a bit of a hindrance for the rest of the race.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as I said earlier in the broadcast, I mean, these cars are predominantly carbon fibre, and being such a high downforce car, I mean, if you do raise that front splitter up by, you know, just a few mil, it can completely change the characteristics of the car.
Chris Osborne leading the Riley class, pushing hard up front. The gap before there was about 2 seconds back to Corey Hanger after those mistakes from Corey, but the gap is now closed to 1.5, and on the last time by they almost did identical lap times.
Yeah, it's good to see Corey hanging in there. He's doing a great job. Good to see him back in the driver's seat. Doing a lot of commentary lately, Corey, and he's been thoroughly enjoying it. But it's good to see him back in the car and making a good go of it too.
Yeah, it's good to see Corey back driving the Riley. It's a car that he really enjoys and has had a lot of success in. I drove a lot with him. Corey and I used to be teammates, believe it or not, and back in 2010 we drove a lot together in this car, and he was always very fast. It's going to get held up a little bit by Kernich. No, gets it done cleanly. Good driving by Kernich there to stay out of the way.
Heading through that last corner complex now, so we'll just see what the gap is this time by.
I think it's closed up just a little bit by looking at it. I'm not sure exactly what it'll be. Have a look now. It's 1.3 seconds now.
Good eyes, Matt. Good eyes.
Yeah. No, it's enough experience from doing all the Monday night racing where you gain half a tenth a lap. You know what half a tenth looks like after a while. Bit of a balk there for Osborne, as Corey Osborne slightly makes life a little bit difficult there.
Back into the S's with the hairpin. If Corey's just about timed this right. A move on Corey from Corey.
It looks like he has just about, assuming Osborne just jumps out of the way. Oh, this could be awkward at the S's. No, Osborne lifts out of it. Courteous driving there from Osborne, but Corey is every bit of road on the exit. That was close.
That was close. I mean, we've seen what happens if you do run onto the grass coming out of these corners in these Rileys. They do tend to get it very, very taily and quite quickly will turn you around.
Corey's actually using a lot of curb. Everywhere I'm watching, his car is bouncing aggressively off the curb, so he's got to be careful of that. I think the gap might have opened up a little bit this time. It's come out now to 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed with Corey watching him practice during the week is yeah, he's quite aggressive with the car over the curbs.
Head back to the McLaren GT3 class, and Kimmo Suominen continues to lead. However, Rens Brookman is closing the margin just slightly. He was quicker last time by 1/10 of a second. Saw Rens get held up by some lapped cars a few laps ago, so he's got all the work to do.
It looks like Rens is just trying to drive the car nice and straight, nice and clean, hit his apexes, not take too much to the curb, so looks like he gained a bit of time just through the last corner complex. Having a look now, yeah, he pulled in 0.2 of a second that lap, so really starting to reel in Kimmo Suominen now. As Chris Osborne now crosses the start to finish line. About 33.5 minutes into it. Now this is a 50-minute race, so not that long to go.
That'll feel like an age for Chris Osborne though, with Corey Henger starting to close that gap, continually applying the pressure. This will be the longest 15 odd minutes of his life. Mohammed S. Patel there having some internet dramas in position 3 in McLaren class. We've seen him running comfortably in the final podium spot for many laps now. Hopefully the internet dramas sort themselves out. I've had a lot of dramas with that in the past, so I know how that feels.
Yeah, they're very experienced in that department, Madison, but it looks like quite fortunate for Mohammed. His internet seems to have stabled and get back to racing.
Yeah, unfortunately from the driver's seat there's not too much you can do about those kinds of things. You just got to push on. You got Matthew Barron still out there on track. He's just rounded up Rens Brookman, and he's got a very, very average looking prototype that's got all kinds of damage at both ends after that massive accident on the pit straight.
Yeah, that's right. That car will probably go back to the workshop and require a full rebuild, but back on track now, circulating. Nearly took his teammate out then. Rens probably may have a quiet little chat to Matthew Barron in the pits after the race.
Yeah, I'm surprised Matthew Barron's still out there driving. It's just, that car looks so bent, yet he's still doing semi-reasonable lap times. It's not a bad drive job from Barron.
That's right. He does love the media. He doesn't mind taking a photo. It's good to get the sponsor's name out there. He's really enjoying driving the Riley too. Looks like that gap sort of stabilised in the lead of the McLarens now between Kimmo Suominen and Rens Brookman.
Interested in seeing what this gap is between Suominen and Brookman this time by. It looks like Brookman's just slightly closed it. 22.4 for Brookman and 23.0 for Suominen, so 0.6 of a second closed in that time by. The gap looks to be around about 1 second between those two cars.
Yeah, one second isn't a lot of time to catch up in these cars. I mean, as we see in multi-car class races, you can make a lot of time very quickly if the other person is involved in an overtaking of another class. You can certainly lose a fair bit of time, so we do know that anything can happen, and as we've seen from Watkins Glen, usually does happen.
Yeah, certainly does. Chris Osborne just got a little bit balked, turn 2 that time by, but Corey Hanger, massive balk into the S-bend from Blake Coppo. That is going to be frustrating for Corey. He's dropping yet more time to Chris Osborne.
And Chris Osborne.
Oh, Chris Osborne! Oh, that was close. Wow, both the Riley prototype class leaders getting balked on the same lap. That was unbelievably close.
Yeah, Patel wide. Come back on the track. Oh, Corey just misses him.
Wow, that was a hard-in-your-mouth stuff for those guys. Both those drivers would be a little bit frustrated with the way they both got balked there. Different drivers, different parts of the track, but same result. The gap stays around about the same. Actually, no.
One thing you got to remember as well is, I mean, these two classes, I mean, they're in their own battles as well. So Patel and also Copper really in their own battle as well. So maybe weren't watching the mirrors well enough, or were involved in their own little battle to maybe see the prototypes come up behind.
Yeah, it's a very tricky thing. The prototypes come up so quick under brakes and so quick through the corners. It's hard to actually see them approaching.
I think Patel's having major internet problems there. He disappeared for a long period of time.
Coppo likes what he sees there. He will start closing the gap. I know that when you're having internet dramas like that, like Patel's having, the grip constantly changes through the corners and through the braking zones and everything. It chucks your rhythm out completely, and it's very easy to lose around about half a second a lap as he has a bit of a moment there through the S's.
I'm just watching the lead now of the McLarens. Renz has pulled in Kim O'Sullivan, and it won't be long till he's all over the back end of that McLaren. One thing we'll notice next week, the southern states will come off the daylight savings times. They'll go back to what I consider normal time, being a Queenslander. Yes. Yeah, so next week it will be an hour forward. So brings back in line with the Queensland state, the eastern seaboard. So the Monday night V8s will start at 7:30, the broadcast for qualifying, and then following onto the main race. Although Race Reality will be broadcast from 7:50 PM. Oh, Rens Brookman has to give way. Loses more time.
It's going to be awkward here for Suminen too with Chris Osborne. You've got to remember Chris Osborne's also in a battle with Corey Hanger, so he's going to drop a little bit of time there behind Suminen. This closes things up in McLaren class. Corey's probably going to get Rens before turn 1. Rens will give him space, being a teammate, you would have to assume.
Yeah, you just see him tap the brakes then. I'm sure Corey will be very appreciative of what Rens just sacrificed a little bit of time then.
Yeah, certainly would. Where's Suminen going to get caught? This is going to be awkward for Suminen coming over this crest too wide. Is Corey going to go up? No.
Corey just backs out of it a little bit. Smart driving there from both the guys.
Still going to drop time for Suminen. Suminen runs down the inside. Rens makes up a heap of time into the hairpin. It's around about half a second gain there for Rens. So Corey Hanger helps his teammate out there.
Oh, all intentional, I bet, too, of course. Oh!
Suminen wide!
Oh, incredible driving. Rens all the way up onto the curbing then, too.
This battle is heating up for McLaren class. Once again, we've seen lapped cars influence the gaps, and this time it was in Rens Brookman's favour. So look back from Kimmo Suminen at Rens Brookman. Rens has definitely closed this margin and starting to fill Suminen's mirrors.
It looks like Kimmo Suminen has lost a little bit of his rhythm. It's always hard to find that back when you're under pressure, but yeah, Rens making that dynamic sim sport McLaren extremely wide. Extremely big in the mirror, sorry.
Gap is probably about 1/10 of a second there as these guys are all over each other. Kimmo's going to have to really make sure he does not make a mistake. there's not really anywhere Renz can get a move done. He needs to make sure he gets a good exit off here. This hairpin after this crest is probably one of the best spots, but Renz isn't close enough this time by.
That's right, it's probably one of the most favoured overtaking positions on the track. As you might notice then that the different entries into that corner. Ren's quite wide and Kimmo just quite a shallow entry into that corner, but Kimmo has great acceleration out of the corner. Yeah, you can see the aggressive driving style now. They're both really pushing the McLaren hard, really bouncing off the curbs, putting a lot of strain on the suspension of these McLarens. Looks like Patel lost a place.
They're still having a few internet dramas as Patel. His latency's a little bit higher than it should be, and he's lost a position because of it. I'd say it's probably affecting his grip levels just a tad, and therefore affecting his consistency, and Coppo's got that move done.
Just watching him now, and he seems to be reeling in Coppo now that the internet's sort of stabled for him a little bit.
Oh,
just as I say
just
that,
went away, yeah.
He starts to flash. Commentator's curse. Sorry about that, Patel. Last time by 42 minutes, 39 seconds into the race. Only a handful of laps remaining now for these lead DP drivers and McLaren drivers. Renz now must be really feeling the pressure, just knowing that he has to make a move soon, or unfortunately may let this one slip through his fingers.
Kimmo Suominen certainly by far the quickest in qualifying over one lap, but Rens Brookman has certainly, stood up to that in the race and had great race pace. You mentioned, Matthew, that Rens hadn't really done many laps this week, so yeah, he certainly started to get pacier as the race has progressed.
Yeah, that's right. He was almost pressured into racing tonight from some of his team members. Good to see him out there, and really gives us something to bring forward to you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying the race so far.
Back in the field in the Riley prototype class, Rob Hartley lost 7/10 last time by to Fabio Gonzalez, so that gap is closing up for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, Fabio Gonzalez really got that DP prototype. Big shout out to Fabio's fans. Good to see you guys out there and really get behind the driver, so big hello to you guys. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast. That time by, looks like Gonzalez was 0.8 of a second faster than Harley, so maybe Harley having some tyre issues, dropping a bit of time now.
Yeah, that's a massive amount quicker in one lap, so you'd have to assume Gonzalez will be right behind Hartley in the next few laps. But there's only a few laps to go, of course. We've got around about 5 minutes left in this race, so there's not too much you can do in 5 minutes apart from close up and apply the pressure.
I'm just watching, I can barely take my eyes away from this battle for the lead of the McLarens. Ren's all over the back of Kimmo Suominen now. Do the different lines then, Kimmo using one, Jay Kennedy, a fellow commentator, using the alternate line, as he would say. Big shout out to Jay. Racing in the second split of tonight's Australia-New Zealand Grand Am Series. Looks like he may have had some accidents or a bit of internet trouble, so enjoying the coverage of it, Jay. Hope we're doing a good enough job for you, mate.
Yeah, big shoes to fill there.
I know. Ren's really pressuring Kimmo Suominen now.
Kimmo's doing it all right at the moment, though. He's making all the apexes, getting clean exits and not getting wheel spin. Renz is jumping around in the mirrors, taking alternate lines, as you made mention of before. As you can see him there, pull out of the draft, jump around in the mirror. Although he's overcooked it a little bit into the S's there. Lost a little bit of time.
Yeah, lost a little bit of time through there. Oh, nice line through there from Rens Brookman, so hopefully maybe taking a little bit of time out of now Kimmo Suominen. screen. It does say that the race has finished and we're over time now, but there will still be about 3 or 4 laps to go. Last time by Christopher Osborne, stopping the clock at 46 minutes and 33 seconds.
Yeah, that gap for the lead actually up the front between Chris Osborne and Corey Henger is actually opened right up.
Yeah, 3.1 seconds now, so maybe Corey Henger just settling for second place. It looks like we've got, just watching the timing now, just trying to find Rob Hartley on track now, who looks like he's under a little bit of pressure from Fabio Gonzalez.
Yeah, that gap has continued to close, and except for the last lap, Rob Hartley was 1/10 of a second quicker than Gonzalez there, fighting for position 5 and position 6.
Yeah, just getting the better of Gonzalez on that lap, so maybe Hartley encountering a bit of traffic. Oh, looks like he could be held up.
This is going to be close.
Yeah, he's sacrificed a lot of time there.
That's all good news for Gonzalez. That McLaren Patel just slightly in an awkward spot, and he's still stuck behind him.
Gonzalez will be all over the back of him at the end very, very shortly.
Oh, still stuck behind.
Patel.
Wow, this is awkward. Gonzalez is going to be loving this as Hartley tries to find a way past Patel. Surely he's got to send it up the inside here, but no, the door is slammed shut once again.
Hartley extremely patient. Patel probably not giving the racing room he really should, but Hartley now around down the inside of Patel.
Gonzalez has got to get up the inside here. He does. So that was a fair bit of a time gain, although he's run a little bit wide there in turn 2 and given some of that time up, but that was a massive time loss for Rob Hartley on that last lap.
Yeah, Rob extremely patient there, didn't touch the McLaren, but yeah, it was very, very close. Looking for... Okay, so yeah, this looks like it will be the last lap, guys. Corey Osborne stopped the clock last time by at 49 minutes and 9 seconds. So this will be it, guys. Okay, so I'm just watching, look, I can't keep my eyes off that battle for the lead in the McLarens. Rens Brookman will have one more lap to get this done.
It's a little bit far back to actually have an attack, but he just needs to close that gap up and keep pressuring Kimmo Suominen. As he does there in turn 2, he ranges right up under the rear wing.
Lots of pressure being applied now. Kimmo trying to get Rens out of the slipstream on the straight.
So Chris Osborne comes into the final sector of the lap. He's led this race pretty much from start to finish quite comfortably. He's driven brilliantly all race long. Chris Osborne is going to take the win here.
Yeah, hasn't put a foot wrong as he crosses the finish line and takes the win at round 10 at Barber Motorsport Park. Congratulations to Chris Osborne.
Got to go back to the battle for the McLaren, so Kimmo Suominen's opened a little bit of margin. Rens Brookman uses, they both use every bit of track there. Rens very committed into that S-bend, uses a lot of curb, very sideways.
Only one more quarter complex to go. Kimmo putting the car in exactly the right position.
Rens is going to have a look. Oh!
Drag race to the finish line. Kimmo takes the win. Well done, Kimmo Station, the McLaren. Well done, mate. Rens Brookman comes home in second.
Head back to Hartley and Gonzalez. That battle raged on to the finish, but Rob Hartley takes 5th place, Gonzalez in 6th. Good fight there. Wow, those last laps of Suominen and Rens were very close.
And yeah, just waiting for the last sort of cars to come across the track off the start-finish line now is Barron, and his very second-hand Daytona prototype finishes the race 6 laps down. And Craig Hunter, the last of the finishers on track, did extremely well to fight from a no qualifying time, so good job from Craig. Well, Madison, that had it all, mate. That was an extremely exciting race.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I think we've got to go to Barber more often. That's a fantastic racetrack, and we saw some great racing tonight in both classes. Chris Osborne and Corey Henger had that race-long battle. Saw a lot of action at the final corner there with plenty of guys ploughing it into the pit wall, and the battle between Kimmo Suominen and Rens Brookman in the McLaren GT3 class was amazing all the way to the end. So great driving, guys. That was a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, extremely good to commentate on, guys. Makes our job very, very easy, so much appreciate the great racing supplied. The results now on the screen. I'll run through the Riley Daytona prototypes. Christopher Osborne taking the win from Corey Henger by 5.6 seconds. Probably not accurate of the actual speed differences. We did see Corey all over the back of Christopher Osborne for the majority of the race. Mitch Abrahall, well done, Mr. Consistency, taking out third place again. John Everson finished fourth. Extremely good drive from John. I mean, we did see him have barely any practice at all today, so well done, Emo. Rob Hartley in fifth. Good drive from the Powerbond driver. Fabio Gonzalez in sixth. Then Matthew Barron, 6 laps down. Leon Tander and Cameron Todd, 2 DNFs.
And in the McLaren GT3 class, Kimmo Suominen led the race start to finish, but Rens Brookman there in second place certainly made him work for it. Blake Coppo finished third, Mohamed Patel finished fourth, Christian Aylward fifth, Craig Hunter sixth, Corey Osborne seventh, Anthony Kernich eighth, Andrew Wren ninth, and Warwick Chickpack in 10th. Amazingly, no DNFs for the McLaren class. They all finished the race safely and cleanly. So great driving from the McLaren drivers.
Yeah, complete contrast to how the race went at Watkins Glen. I mean, we did see a lot of DNFs there, and tonight barely any. So well done to the drivers, especially on this really tricky circuit. Lots of blind entry corners, lots of areas to make a lot of mistakes, but it was pretty clean all race.
Yeah, for sure.
And just a quick reminder, guys, before we start to wrap things up, is the daylight savings will end for the next round on Monday night. So for the V8 Supercars, make sure you tune in an hour earlier if you've been watching it in New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. And so that will move forward to 7:30 as opposed to 8:30. So join us then for the Monday night V8s. And of course, the Race to Reality will be back next Wednesday night after a break over Easter. And that will also start from 7:50 broadcast. And of course, the Thursday night Grand Ams will kick off from approximately 8:40, about 8:45 when we join the start of the race. And next week, round 11 will be at Suzuka International Track. Very, very long, very much suited to these cars. Madison, I bet you're looking forward to that race.
Yeah, for sure. It's a track that really suits these cars, as you said. Plenty of high speed and flowing corners. A few more passing places as well at Suzuka. So hopefully there's action aplenty next week. So tune in to catch it all here at V8s Online.
And yeah, just a reminder, the V8s will head to Sonoma. And a different layout this week. Madison, how have you been finding that?
Yeah, I haven't done really many laps this week, to be honest, but I do know that Sonoma is a very, very tough track, and the long IndyCar layout that we're going to has an extra few challenging and undulating corners that we haven't seen before in the V8 Supercars. So certainly going to spice things up on Monday night, so tune in and catch all the action for that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for watching round 10 at Barber Motorsport Park. It's been brought to you by V8s Online. Sponsors are, we've got the V8 Online Superstore, Direct Clutch Services, and V8 Supercar Fan Group. You've been watching V8s Online, live broadcast of the Thursday night Grand Am Multi-Class Series.